Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.
Hey, and welcome back to another Date with the Dorseys.
Welcome back.
I am Dr. Jatan.
And I am Floyd Dorsey, the fourth.
Hey, we are so elated to be back, yet another episode as we continue this Life Lessons series. Now, as you always know, we have to start off by giving you some of the, the background, what we do, a little housekeeping.
All the good stuff around that.
Yes, so we can open it up just in case it's your first time joining us, because it surely
won't be your last.
There you go. So we are Dim Darn Dorseys.
Two more times.
Dim Darn Dorseys.
Okay.
Dim Darn Dorseys. Now that we have recited that in such a way, you should remember now.
That's it.
But you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Dim Darn Dorseys. Now, about this podcast and what we do, we encourage a fortune state of mind. And you may ask, well, what does that mean? How do you do it? Glad you asked. Because we typically talk on topics that are surrounded by the 5 F's, which are 5 pillars that build up to that fortune state of mind that we're encouraging you to develop, right?
That's it.
So those 5 F's are, here we go. Y'all know if it's not your first time, I'm always challenging myself to make sure I don't forget one of the F's. But it's family, finance, fitness, what else? Faith and fun. Can't forget the fun. Seems like we always put that one at the end when we call them out, but that's always like mixed in with everything, all the other 4 F's. Nevertheless, again, those are our 5 pillars, our 5 F's that we use in our conversations, in our discussions, in our topics. You may get one, you may get a combination of some, but it drives all towards developing a fortune state of mind.
That's it. And just another clarifying point.
Okay.
While relationships are very important, this is not just a relationship show.
Right.
We're not
right.
talking
So
about
when
that.
we talk about the 5 F's, we're not just saying fun from a relationship perspective. And when we say relationship, we mean spouse, your partner at your house, however you refer to him or her or whatever. But we're saying that is a part of it, but that's not what this is all about. So when we say date with the Dorseys, this is just your opportunity to have a session with us to talk about what we talk about.
That's it.
Now, back to what we're talking about today. And again, it's a continuation of the Life Lessons series that we are running. So we are continuing that. We're near about to a point where we're going to wrap this thing up. But we wanted to make sure you got all the goods before we shut it down.
Have it. Yes.
And of course, even beyond this, there will be so many other life lessons that you may have experienced, that we may have experienced that we haven't yet shared with you. But hey, we just wanted to share some of those that were top of the mind for us.
And we want to hear from you.
Thank you.
What are some of yours? That's it. I mean, please share with us some of your life lessons and experiences, because again, this is a sharing community. We want to make sure that we're uplifting and edifying each other. So it's certainly important that your voice, your experiences can be heard and can be shared, because what you do, what you've been through, can certainly empower someone else.
Definitely. And if you're wondering how can you get that information to us, well, I already told you our
I'm
handles.
glad you asked. Right?
That too. So I told you the handles. You can reach out to us via Messenger, or maybe even comment on some of our posts on Facebook and Instagram at Dim Darn Dorseys. You can also email us at Fortune Enterprise. I'm sorry. I do that every time. I forget the main part. It's support at fortuneenterprise.com. And remember, Fortune is spelled IVTUNE. Again, support at fortuneenterprise.com. So
we make it easy for you. Right?
Yeah. I like to say we do, because you get all this information with every post of our podcast too. So if you find one of those episodes, get to clicking.
You'll find it.
So with that being said, I suppose we should jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pass it over to you, Mr. Dorsey.
I'll take the first one. So a life lesson. For me, the first one is, it's not the skill of a man, but the will of a man. And you can change man out to whatever noun you prefer it to be.
Human,
woman, woman, however you prefer it. But again, it's not the skill. I think that's the most important part. It's the will. Now, oftentimes, if you look at any professional athletes, you'll see that they're highly skilled, right? But once you put them all together, they're all highly skilled, and all of them become the average of one another, right? It kind of levels out from a talent level. But something within them has to separate the stars from the superstars, right? And that thing is the will. You have to be willing to go that extra mile, or be willing to put in that extra work, or be willing to go above and beyond any expectations of yourself or of your team to uplift your skill to a higher level. Now, for me personally, this has come by way of so many aspects of my life, from playing high school ball, collegiate ball, even ball all through my life, to transitioning over to a professional career. It is some of the tasks that I've been assigned day over day, some things I had to learn and develop those skills. But it was my will, my willingness to do that, which was the enabler for me to really even go further beyond my immediate skills at that time. So that will help you drive and develop the skill. But even beyond that, that will is something that certainly helps you go above and beyond any expectations of yourself and makes you stand out amongst your peers.
That reminds me, one of our previous episodes in Life Lessons, when I was trying to recall a piece or a phrase to reference as you were talking to that, it just came to me because it applies to what you just said. But it's mind over matter, right? That's it. And I was thinking, I forgot even what the lesson was we were talking about specifically then, but I was trying to say how your mind would be more controlling than what you have in your heart, because your mind really controls the motivation, the everything about it. Once you change your mind, you're more willing and able to go about whatever it is.
That's it. You have that motivation, that inspiration, that the thought, right, to even take and invoke any action from you. So it certainly is having that willingness, having that will. And again, in so many aspects of life, you'll see this. And not to say that skill isn't important, it is very much so, but something drives an individual to develop those skills, right? Something drives an individual, even in the lack of skills, that they can still persevere and keep moving forward to achieve their goals. And again, that has to be in you, and it can't be on you. That was another show, but again, you have to have that desire and that push, that internal fortitude, that regardless of what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through, I am willing to do what it takes to make things happen or to achieve a goal.
That's good.
And I passed the mic.
Oh, okay. Pass the baton to Jaton. So let's see. Let me go with one that we hear often, and we probably say it often too, but it's minor setback for a major comeback. And this came up for me. Actually, I remember I've probably before then heard it before, but I was going through. I was going through. I guess we're going to put a period right there since he cut me off. I was going through at that time. And my uncle, and he is the silliest thing ever. He's the one that makes me laugh all the time and dancing, just any little thing. But it just struck me different, I guess, because of him saying it. I don't know. Maybe it was that, or maybe it was because I was going through at the time. So anyway, he was there supporting or whatever, and he's like, look, this is just a minor setback for a major comeback. You just have no idea what's ahead of you. And I was like, well, dang. When you say it like that, you're right. What am I tripping on? Like, it was like, you could take all that time being frustrated, mad, or disappointed, or whatever those things are, emotions that you have, the moment that you say, wait a minute, this is just a moment.
It's just a moment.
It's just a moment. What can I take out of this?
Spark.
Yes.
Somebody randomly, maybe it's random, maybe it's not, but it's just something that came about that said something, that invoked something, a different feeling, a different way of thinking in you, right? And sometimes we can get lost in that those obstacles. We can. But it's amazing how the right words at the right time can really change course or change the course or course correct for you. And that's amazing. And I think that's where the summation of all these life lessons that we're talking about, because these are things that people probably hear or have heard or said every day, but it probably wouldn't resonate with you unless you were in a moment or in a situation that those words spoke to you and your situation and what you were dealing with or what you were going through, and made a huge impact in your life. So please, I want to hear more about the obstacles
I don't know,
that you were going through.
I thought he was going to finish my my life lesson for me. He wasn't even there. But no, I mean, the situation itself doesn't really matter. But it was a hard time for me because, as you just mentioned, it depends on how you take it, how you take that life lesson or how you go through your various experiences in life. But I'd say that was, at the time, one of the most challenging for me. So for him to have come in and given that advice and, not to say nobody else was, but it was that one thing that stuck out. So for me, it was like, oh, I needed to hear that at that moment. Thanks for reminding me, bring me back to myself, because clearly I had just lost myself and my mind. And I was setting in what was going on around me rather than knowing, okay, this is you doing the right thing. This is what needs to happen, and it's going to get better, So I think there's opportunity in us within all of us, to sit within those moments, those situations that we go through, whether it be positive or negative, however we receive it, but really sit in it and realize what we can take from it to go to the next. Because sometimes we can drown so much into it, especially if it's something that we take as negative. We drown so much into it that we don't even allow ourselves or create the capacity to receive that greater, to receive that next, better. So it may take, like in my situation, someone to say something that triggers your thought to reframe your thoughts and reset your mind. Or it could be, just takes time. For some people, it just takes time to deal with it, go through it, cry, whatever it is you have to do, but get back up, right?
Wow, yeah. Self-defecating disruptors. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, he's just going to throw that out and just keep rolling, okay?
That people, I mean, really, you can have yourself and taking yourself down a journey, down a road that's probably not the best for you. But I think even going to that point, really, we all do it. We all go through it. We all have that experience. But going through that, it just takes that spark of that one thing from someone else, or even something you may remember something somebody told, whatever that is, right? Whatever that disruptor is that really helps you ignite, course correct, and get back on track. And that's powerful. I think we certainly need those things in our lives, and we can certainly all value and benefit from them.
Absolutely. And I guess I could reiterate another point that I already made, but just to make sure nobody missed it, is that I described this particular uncle that shared this message that, typically it's laughter, it's a good time, and, he's like the jokester. So I wouldn't have initially anticipated that to have come, right? So in life and in our experiences, sometimes that's how it happens too. That message, that trigger could come from a source that you didn't anticipate it to come from or expect for it to come from. So you may be thinking, oh, I'm expecting or waiting for my husband or my best friend or my mom to come through and save me and give me these words that I need because that's that person I depend on.
Right.
When it's that person at the grocery store, when you're standing in line and you're frustrated about getting up to the register and they just say something out the blue and you're like, wait, oh, you know what? Thank you for that. I needed that,
right.
So paying attention and just being, wherever you are, being there to receive.
That's it.
Yeah.
Being open to receive.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Baton back to you.
All right. Let me see what we have here. All right. So here's one that, again, I can make this apply in so many different ways in my life and through my life. But in this particular situation, I was a young lad at the time, and typically a question about my father. I wasn't doing anything too mischievous, but nonetheless, he asked me a question if I did something, and the something was something, of course, of that I should not have been doing. And I told him no with a straight face, and I meant it because I truly didn't. I was pretty good. I didn't do anything wrong, right? I was innocent. And so he looked at me and said, "Hey, if it doesn't come out in the wash, it'll come out in the rinse." And that stuck with me because through all the years of my life, I had to reflect back on that moment. Like, whatever you're doing or whatever you have done, it may not come out immediately, right? It may not be something that presents itself to whomever that needs to know it in that moment. However, give it time, it will surface, right? And that goes just beyond any wrongdoings or any ill harm or ill intent that anyone may be committing. However, it also applies to different things you're looking for in your own life, right? If you are continues to find yourself challenged with situations or challenged to overcome obstacles, to achieve goals, or whatever it may be, give it time, because it will come out. Things will be revealed to you, whatever you're seeking. It may not be immediate, but if you continue to take it through its cycles, whatever it is that you're looking for will present itself. So again, if it doesn't come out in the wash, it'll come out in the rinse.
It's going to come out one way or the
other. Just continue to take it through those cycles. For those who actually do laundry, you know that, when
so not you.
What, those that those that do laundry, me, I spend a lot of time
doing,
waiting for my laundry to be done.
Okay, just making sure we're on the right page. Okay, that's good. What don't come out in the wash will certainly come out in the rinse. So back over on this side of the house, I'm gonna go with one of my favorites from my doctoral studies, which I've shared in some of my speaking engagements as well. So I'll just go with that one. It's a quick pull. So as I was completing my doctoral studies, it was near to the end because I was working on my dissertation. And if any of you are familiar, you know that that's pretty much a book, right? So after a few months, I was just getting a little frustrated. And I know in previous episodes here on the podcast, we've talked about how I'm a quick start. I want to get it done. Once I know enough, I'm ready to just push this thing out and be done with it. Well, no, that didn't quite work out that way. You got some other people that are considered your committee, so you have different opinions, you have different expectations, you have different processes and approvals you have to go through. So just as you think that you're in the right place, you're on the right page, someone or someone's return a response saying change this, research that, you need to do more on this piece. And so I was beginning to be frustrated, overwhelmed, thinking, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? And my main sponsor, one day she was just like, Jatan, how do you eat an elephant? And when I first heard that, I'm like, lady, I don't eat elephants. I'm sorry. Like, can we talk about turkey? Can we talk about chicken maybe? And she's like, no, there is a point in this. How do you eat an elephant? It's such a large thing. You eat it one piece at a time. And the reason we do that is because you look at this elephant. That elephant could be a dissertation. That elephant could be a project at work. It could be finding love. It could be whatever that thing that in your life that looks huge to you, that goal that seems impossible to achieve, I'll say. And actually, in my teaching now, in the marketing courses that I teach, we reference that vision as a big, hairy, audacious goal. Mm-hmm. So that just made me think of that too. So if it's that big, hairy, audacious goal that you have for yourself or your business, and you're looking at it like with that vision, saying, oh my goodness, that thing is so massive, I cannot obtain that. But that's the point of setting goals, because you have those milestones from where you are to lead up to that big, hairy, audacious goal. Hence, back to eating the elephant one piece at a time. Those milestones are those pieces. So you chop it up, you figure out how you can break this thing down to make it more digestible for you over time. And, set a date and timelines that are commensurate with what it is that you're trying to achieve, so that you don't feel like, okay, I have to finish. I know that I have to get this dissertation done, but not feel like I have to get it done next month just because. So what is more feasible for the work that's required to go into this to produce a quality product?
I like it. One piece at a time. Now, most of the time, that's probably not the first thought that comes to someone's mind when they're looking at this giant elephant, or they're looking at this giant obstacle and opportunity or challenge or whatever that they're facing. Taking it one piece at a time. So for me, I know I've had several of those that I've encountered, and the first thought that came to my mind certainly wasn't take one piece of it, or create your plan, or how do you progress through this large challenge. The most immediate thoughts is, wow, how can I do this? I can't. You start to doubt, right? And when there comes doubt, there may be fear that follows right afterwards. But I think it is a good reminder just to think to yourself, it looks large now, but if I take one piece away, it gets smaller. If I chip away at another piece, that it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until it's all achieved, or until it's all done. And then you look back on the other side and you can see, once you've chipped away at all the pieces and moved them behind you, you can look back and see, wow, what have I just accomplished? Right? As you said, the big, hairy, audacious goal. And you can really now put it as a notch, in your hat, just to say, hey, I've done these things, I've achieved these things, and I'm looking for more. And now that begins to be the norm for you to take on those big challenges, to overcome those big challenges, and you've now just become something totally different than what you were before encountering that challenge. Right? So I think that was a real good topics. I do have a bonus.
Oh, you got a bonus.
I will throw out. This is just
look. I was trying to make sure we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah,
so we on the bonus. Good.
It's been done. This is it's a real good
bonus.
Done.
Okay, so bring that bonus on.
So one more. This is just for the people. Right? For the people. Here's one that, again, going back to my youth, and oftentimes we would take family road trips. Whether if it was a 2, 3, 4 hour drive, but we would just all pack into the car and just head out somewhere. My dad just, that was a thing that he enjoyed doing. And as a family, I grew to love it as a young man, as our family grew to love it, So it was me being very inquisitive, as I was then. I still am now. I want to know where we're going, what we're doing, how we're doing it before we even, get ready to go anywhere. I needed to know, where are you taking me? Like what's going to happen, so I could be prepared for the experience. And my dad would often say, hey, don't worry about the mule going blind. Just load the wagon, right? Yes. Don't worry about the mule going blind, just load the wagon. And for me, this is still something that I typically struggle with, because I'm more of one who likes to see the vision, has to see the picture, has to understand it, and at least enough detail so that I can now be prepared for any challenges coming ahead. As Jatan mentioned earlier, she's a quick start. So she's one that, when I say this, probably wouldn't resonate to her, or maybe it will, because dealing with me, she has to say
that's
that.
Why.
Don't worry about the mule going blind. Just load the wagon. And so for me, that was, again, a challenge then, and I still work through it now, because I want to ensure that, what I'm about to experience is something I can make sure I'm prepared to encounter, so that I could be ready for any challenges or whatever it is that's on the other side. So, Again, don't worry about the mule going blind.
Just load that wagon.
Just load the wagon.
Mule might not even go blind, but you worried about
that's
it.
That's a real good point.
Yeah.
You're spending your time worrying. What's going to happen here? What's this going to be there? Or all those types of things. Or what if I can't? Or what if it's as you mentioned earlier in your earlier point, what if it's a big elephant on the other side? How can I achieve that? What am I going to do? Sitting here worrying about all those things. And you hadn't even loaded the wagon to get started on your journey. You're just sitting back in analysis paralysis and all that good stuff. You don't move.
Right. Well, so that closes us out for this session of the Life Lessons with them darn Dorseys. We talked about, for me, minor setback is a major comeback, and how to eat an elephant. Of course, that's one piece at a time. Mr. Dorsey, you have?
It's not the skill of a man,
but
the will of a man. And if it doesn't come out in the wash, it'll certainly come out in the rinse.
Don't matter if you got Whirlpool, Sharp, or whatever. It's gonna come out.
Hey, what you got? It could be that you could take it back to the old school and do so many other different things with it, but you're washing it and you're gonna rinse it at some point.
Exactly.
At some point, and then of course the bonus.
Uh-huh.
Don't worry about the mule going blind. Just load the wagon. Let's go.
I'm just saying, I'm full, and these are lessons that came from us. So I'm sure our listeners are pleasantly pleased.
I hope so. And if all may not resonate with you today, that's why you can continue to listen to them tomorrow, because all may not tomorrow, but one or two in those sessions may.
Just like that lesson I got, one of the examples I used.
You never know.
You just never know when you need it.
And it may be something that you can share with somebody else.
It's always something you can share.
Yeah. So
don't as they say, don't count somebody else's money. Don't count what they need. Don't count what they need.
Don't need.
There you go. Just send it and let them figure it out.
That's it.
So with that being said, again, this has been another Date with the Dorseys. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Damn Darn Dorseys. Make sure you follow us. Also email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. Again, Fortune is spelled IVTUNE.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send us some of your life lessons. Let us know what you think about the episode and what you'd like to hear from us in the future.
So tell me, how did you become such a closeout queen? I mean, I really am. I sit and marvel just on your ability to bring it all together.
You know what? You say that all the time, and I don't know how to take this.
I'm just saying.
I don't know
you
if
got it.
you're cracking on me or...
Take it for what it is.
Yes.
If you got it like that, you just got it like that. That's what you do.
You know, I'm for the people, by the people, and I know what the people need.
Okay.
So I like to give them what they want, give them what they need, and then we out. You know what I'm saying?
And that's it. You drop the mic just like that.
Drop the mic.
On to the next episode.
If they want some more, they come back. They got the information they need.
Or hit replay.
Or wait for the next episode, because we going to come back.
That's it. We'll be back. Oh, yeah. Oh, we coming back.
We coming back. So with that, again, we appreciate you for listening. Yet another episode of Date with the Dorseys. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.
Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, a date with the Dorseys.